Women seem to possess an extraordinary and often underappreciated ability to navigate life effectively when they leverage their innate sexual prowess. This intrinsic attribute, which fully realized and harnessed, enables some women to thrive not just meeting daily needs, such as food, such as lights on in their house, such as water in their taps, but to thrive and living lives of opulence in some regard. The commodification of intimacy, a profession as old as time itself, has seen a resurgence, contributing to the rise of sexual degeneracy and licentiousness that you see when you open your phone. Now, there does exist many women out there adhering to principles of courage, of modesty, and of femininity, refusing to exploit their sexuality, valuing their innocence, their purity, their self-respect over financial gain. Yet, even still, they hold this latent power, which most men seem powerless against in the age that we live in. The pervasive nature of sexual content, facilitated by the ubiquity of technology, makes it almost impossible for anyone to avoid encountering it every single day. The omnipresence exploits men's attention, energy, and increasingly, over the last 20 years, their finances as well, highlighting a stark imbalance between the sexual dynamics between men and between women. Women, again, through their sexual capital, can not only secure those basic needs, but also achieve substantial and astronomical wealth, sometimes even luxury, by monetizing their intimacy. However, this does come with a significant trade-off, as no self-respecting, high-value man would tolerate sharing his partner's intimacy with countless others, as exclusivity is a cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. Now, this exclusivity is deeply rooted in evolutionary biology, ensuring paternity, certainly, and maintaining the disgust reflex against promiscuity, against disease. In a very real sense, they make a deal with the devil. They get every single material possession that they would wish, but the trade-off is their soul. Now, none will realize this until the end of their body's incarnation. Only at death's doors do you realize you can't take your possessions with you any further, and you've traded in the very keys needed to unlock the door and progress the journey of the soul. Given the natural balance, if women do utilize their sexuality to gain value, I've been asking myself the question, what is then the equivalent for men? Men, instead of squandering their sexual energy on fleeting and finite pleasures and promiscuity, we must do the antithesis of our counterpart, or our polarity counterpart, which is conservation instead of exploitation of this energy. Not only does this keep the soul safe from deviance of the world, but it bolsters it, it grows it, it rekindles it. And it does this for we stoke the fires of the soul through effort, through journaling uphill instead of downhill. The soul's journey is a treacherous one, and karmic debt cannot hope to be siphoned off by standing still and taking the path of least resistance. Do not demonize dopamine. Do determine the healthy sources you find it in. This conservation brings about remarkable benefits, fostering a sense of homeostasis, of balance, and particularly enhancing dopaminergic sensitivity by avoiding the countless barrage of hyperstimuli akin to hard drugs, class A drugs. Men can find greater contentment in simpler, in novel pleasures. I mean, considering the vast entertainment options at our fingertips today, it's almost comical that we often lament, oh, there's nothing on TV, there's nothing on YouTube. We live in an era where we are a few clicks away, for which we can conjure up a myriad of different movies, of TV shows, of video games, and music. And yet we find ourselves perpetually bored and discontented. The paradox of choice is another particular phenomenon that I believe is part of that multifactorial equations. Too many options can actually make us less happy. I mean, imagine strolling through a cupcake store with only one solitary option for a cupcake. You might not be thrilled, but at least you have a choice. Now picture walking through that same shop with 1,000, 1,000,000 different options. The sheer volume is overwhelming and you could spend ages deciding which one to pick. But imagine the middle ground. Imagine only 3 options of cupcakes. You enjoy this perfect volume between a solo option and too many to choose. That perfect medium of variety without being paralyzed by the options out there. Our modern malaise, particularly when choosing something as simple as a movie, can be traced back to our overstimulated dopamine receptors, bombarded every single day by hyper-sexualized content, hard and soft. The thrill of novelty no longer exists, leaving us unexcited and unremarked by the ordinary. An apple, once a delightful treat, pales in comparison to the sugar-laden assault of chocolate fudge cakes and sweets and Sour Patch Kids. In essence, our discontent stems from this relentless quest for ever greater seeking stimulation, leaving us yearning for the simple pleasures that once brought us genuine joy. Paramahansa Yogananda diagnosed this years and years ago. Never fed, ever satisfied. Ever fed, never satisfied. Greed has poisoned the human psyche and soma. Now imagine the transformation in productivity and creativity when mundane tasks become more rewarding due to the heightened dopaminergic sensitivity. Imagine the ecstasy you can be in when sitting down to read is as stimulating as some of the things that we do reactively, maybe to write or record or to edit or create. No longer is it such a burden, nor the monotony, because you can finally feel it for the pleasure it already was, brother. So the mind is healed. The mind is clear. Now, what about your body? What about your endocrinology? Optimize your testosterone, yes. Also, optimize your androgen receptor sensitivity. It is well established that through sexual satiety, through excessive PMO or explicit activity, it reduces androgen receptors in the brain while increasing our estrogenic receptors, the parts of the female hormone that bind to our receptor. The imbalance leaves free-base testosterone in your blood with no receptors to bind to it, rendering it essentially ineffective. Without sufficient testosterone, there's also a lack of conversion into dihydrotestosterone, a hormone essential for both androgenic and cognitive enhancing benefits. An excess of estrogen, on the other hand, brings a host of issues, including emotional instability, including stress, including anxiety, including all other forms of neurosis. This, my friends, is your key weapon in the battle of life. Imagine going into a gunfight unarmed. That's the predicament many men find themselves in today. It's true. Women are outpacing the average man. And this hormonal imbalance is a significant factor. Break free from these self-imposed chains. Embrace the vigor, the energy that testosterone brings. For too long, you have been lurking in the shadows, playing the victim, sitting on the very keys that are the means to your liberation. It's time to pick up arms and reclaim your vitality. This is the shift. This is the calling that directly leads to an increase of wealth, surely. But what about your sense of desire for fulfillment? What about your sense of dharma? What about your sense of purpose? Meditate on this. Once you dilute a man of his spirituality, he serves nothing greater than his sexuality. Right now, many of us live in hell, and this place has many names. This place is shame, it is apathy, it is lethargy, it is pride. It is the mental manifestations of energy so dark and heavy that it feels as if Satan himself, who keeps his horned hoof on our chest so deep that we must dig so deep to push him off and get out of bed in the morning. It is recognizing the path out is the path that you were too terrified to consider. For realizing it is that path is then realizing your capacity for failing to walk those obstacles. But what if in the attempt you realize your courage? And what if your courage then gives you the strength to move forward in the midst of stumbles on this road? And with each step you take, more and more karmic debt is lessened from your burden. This gets brighter and the darkness gets lighter. And the darkness itself leaves the nest it has made home in your heart. No, God is walking side by side with you. And it is He who arms you with a sword in one hand and a shield in the other. Men, by weaponizing your sexual assets in a more circuitous yet effective manner, you can attain a level of satisfaction and success parallel to that achieved by women through their sexual capital. And yet you need not trade your soul in order to do so. Thus, the key lies in the judicious and dignified management of one's sexual energy, reaping profound benefits in the process. These are not theories. These are facts. Speak soon.